how did this happen? Because everything I've known, everything that has been ingrained into me has always said, this is not right.
I think sometimes when it comes to this spirituality thing, people overthink a lot of stuff. Yeah. They make it very complicated. They have all of these tools and these.
Cause I'm about to go off on somebody and you got to help me and I need that breath on me right now. So, but it's just everyday living.
Yes.
Start to build, like God really will position people to be able to help you carry this thing through. And I'm just like, wow, because we are back with another episode for the Soul Man. And we have just been on this like healing experience edition where we are bringing people to the table who are a part of the healing experience, highlighting what they do, their journeys. And we have the amazing Ryan. I want you to just introduce yourself. Tell the people who you are. Tell them what you do. Tell them why we brought you here today. I know why, but I want them to hear from you.
Look, I want to hear why y'all brought me.
I mean, your spirit just radiates. Like, so for me to put it in perspective, like your spirit, when I just come into encounter with you, like being able to talk to you, I just feel your spiritual journey. I don't even know what it is yet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was introduced to you by way of Kenny, and just being able to hear you speak. I feel like I've heard you at that last event that you had that I went to, but you just command the room. And I know that the impartation that you put into people, I'm just excited to experience that myself. So I'm just like, I was fed when I went to your last event. So of course, being able to have you a part has just been like, wow, I'm really excited that you're here. So I want to learn more about your journey. I want to bring you before the people. But yeah, so go ahead.
So listen, first of all, I appreciate you all having me a part of this experience. As she mentioned, I'm Ryan, born and raised in St. Thomas, U.S. Virgin Islands. So I'm an island boy.
Oh, goodness.
Don't let this accent fool you, because I can switch it up. So moved to Georgia when I was 14 with my family. Went to Morehouse College. By profession, I'm a federal consultant. I have my own consulting firm as well. But apart from all of that, I feel like I've always known that my life was not my own. And I think that that's what this experience is about, that we have gone through life, not for ourselves, but for somebody else. And I remember early on, probably when I was about 8 or 9, I remember laying in my bed and I said, God, what is it that you have for me to do in life?
8 or 9.
Yeah, I was young.
Wow.
Yeah, I was really young. But I just always had that passion. I always had that. I knew that there was something. And I remember, I don't know, I probably couldn't buy it because I ain't had no job at 8 or 9, but maybe my mom or somebody bought me this book, and it was entitled, Why? Because You're Anointed. And I began to read that book, and it just began to put everything in perspective for me, that on each of our lives, there's a grace to do. There's a grace to serve in whatever capacity for somebody else. And so that's what it's been for me the whole time. So I count it a privilege now for everything that I go through, because I know that it's for somebody else.
I think I'm still stuck and you was reading the book on the anointing at 8 or 9
Look, me
years
too.
old.
Let's pause for 2 seconds. Okay.
Like I did. Lord, I'm sorry.
Cause child, I'm gonna be like, whoo. I am counting it a privilege.
Yeah.
Child.
Yeah.
I'm just over here in my seat.
I'm just really, I think I'm just like, look at the caliber of people that we have.
It's powerful.
This is monumental. Like, I don't think I really am grasping what's happening for real. Because, you know, we spend a lot of time behind the scenes, like really planning, making sure that we're putting this thing together. But I think I don't know. It's like this duality that's happening, like with who's in the room. And I'm like, when you start to build, like God really will position people to be able to help you carry this thing through. And I'm just like, wow, because I'm looking at like the caliber of everybody, and I'm like, bro,
It's powerful.
this is wild. Like, look at my sister. Look at Ash. Like, look at y'all's stories. And I'm so excited to hear like, I know nothing about you.
I'm just over here like.
And I'm like, I can feel you though. And so I'm just like, bro, I cannot wait.
Yeah.
When I tell you I have spent the last however many number of years us in the same vicinity, and I have just always felt your spirit. Period. And I spoke highly about you before I even really spoke to you, because I would see people that I talk to you, and I'm like, I just love Ryan. I was just admiring you from afar because I had never really had a conversation with you. And I'm just like, I think when I found out you were in Aries, I'm like, we need to hang out because I just love you so much. Like, we need to close the gap because I love you. So you said something, and I think just being where I am in my individual journey and God really dropping the shoe on me and going through like what feels like a very tough time, when you said, I'm counting everything a privilege because I know that I'm going through these things for someone else. And as you made a point about the process being for me, but what comes out the other side is for someone else. Like, I just go on and pick up, because the spirit is dropping the gems. The spirit is dropping the gems on me. So just
I think that a lot of times in life we can get so short-sighted. So all we see is the circumstance that we're in. And we typically don't see the purpose for the press. Because whenever something is pressed, there's something that has to come out of that press. And we're so wrapped up in the process, we're so wrapped up in the press, and we're not even seeing the substance, the jewels, the gems, the lessons, the experiences that are coming out of that. And those things flow now from us to somebody else, you know, so that we can equip them so that they don't necessarily have to, I don't want to word it, bear the same brunt of that thing that we may have had to. So now whatever their experience is, now it trickles on to somebody else. And I really sense really strongly that even for this healing experience, that generational cycles are going to be rewritten. Because a lot of patterns, a lot of things that we find ourselves in, you're like, how in the world did this, where did this come from? I didn't ask for this. But you don't realize that these things have flown down through your bloodline, and all it's waiting is for somebody to make a decision to rewrite that script. And so I think that that's what's going to be happening.
That's huge. So I got a question in regards to purpose, right? Like, I think that is also a trending word right now. Everybody's kind of like, well, you know, purpose-driven people, but how can someone really identify what they're supposed to be doing here? I think there's a lot of attachment to the doing, right? And it's less understanding that we're not human doers, we're human beings. But then people are like, well, I know that I have purpose here. I know that I'm supposed to be doing something. So how can a person figure out like what their purpose is, for a lack of a better way of saying it? And then how can they like not get so tied up in the doing that they can actually still enjoy their being as a human? Does that make sense?
Yeah,
What I'm asking?
absolutely.
Okay.
Because we actually talked about that, about the shifting in our mentality from doing to being. That's a big topic. It is one that really, all of our hearts cry to know what we're here for, right? But I think that what has helped me personally is I know that as I live, I evolve, I grow, and life leaves you clues for you to pick up. Every interaction, every experience, every year, every part of our journey, it's a clue that continues to unfold and unravel what that true purpose and true destiny is for our lives. But the thing that has helped me is not so much focusing on what I'm supposed to do, but who put me here to do it?
Explain it.
So if I can pursue the one that gave me the purpose, naturally, what I'm supposed to do will flow out
Yes.
of that.
Yes.
So for me, my spiritual foundation, that is my life. So I remember the Lord told me one time, he said, I'm not interested in people that are in pursuit of achievement. I'm interested in people that are in pursuit of me. Because from me, I'll begin to unfold everything for you. And not only will I unfold it, I'm going to equip you to do it. I'm going to bring the favor. I'm going to bring the provision. I'm going to set up the relationships. I'm going to do everything that's needed. But if my focus is just, okay, on you, then everything else in life will just kind of flow out of it. And the other piece of it is we have to be flexible. So I don't want to get so locked in that this is what I'm supposed to be doing, because there might be a shift in it. And I got to be willing to shift. You know, so that's what I...
Let me tell you, because a person who has come to understand as of late that you cannot be self-sufficient.
Listen.
That you may have this inclination towards spirit and access to the well, but you need to be close to the well. You cannot think, okay, I'm gonna get a little bit from God, then I'm gonna go out. You gotta stay close to the source of the thing that is giving you the vision, that is giving you the dream. Like, how are you cultivating your relationship and your proximity and your ability to hear what you're being told? Because I totally agree with you. We're all given this navigation system. We all have a gut. We all have an instinct. We all can feel those nudges. But if something is too loud around me or I'm not close enough to hear, I'm gonna have those questions, what I'm supposed to be doing. What purpose am I here for? Whatever the case may be, sweetheart. If I get close to the thing that gave it to me, that thing is gonna get so much clearer.
That's so good. I think, so my grandma has always been like the pillar as far as spirituality in our family. And one of the things that she would always tell me when I just never really understood was, you gotta have a prayer life, Erica. Like, just make sure you have a prayer life. All that other stuff don't matter. The church, none of that stuff matters. Just, you gotta have a prayer life. And as I began to like get older and things like that, I understood more and more what she meant by that. Because I think sometimes when we think about spirituality, especially us just being Black, we come from the Black church, a lot of us, and we're very cultured in the church. And so like being able to really just thrive on having an intimate relationship, regardless of whatever the external things are. So I'm just curious to hear from you guys, like, what does that spiritual practice look like in action for you? Like, what is the things that really help you to stay rooted, to stay fortified, to stay connected to source, right? Because I think sometimes people hear it and it's like, yeah, ideally that's like what you're supposed to do, but how do you actually like stay connected, especially when we're constantly doing this? We're on our phones and life is just moving, and we are supposed to stay like this with our creator, right? But like, I'm just curious to know what you guys' journey has been to kind of maintain those spiritual practices throughout your life as you're navigating through purpose and being a human being, being a spirit, having a human experience. So, yeah.
You know, I think that transparently, it doesn't always look the same for me. And I've had to become very okay with it not looking the same. Because I'm one that, you know, I'm a planner. I like things to be organized and systematic and all of this. So for the next 21 days, I'm gonna do this at this time, you know, for this, you know, length of time. And it don't always pan out like that. And it used to just wear me out because I'm like, I felt like I wasn't doing everything that I needed to do or whatever. But I've just realized that if I just take a step back, he wants to be a part of my everyday practical life. And so for me, it might be waking up one morning and I'm just listening to music. It might be on my way to the car or to the gym and I'm just having a conversation. It might be some days I'm just sitting in silence. But I've been okay with that now because no matter what the day looks like, I know that he's right there. And I think when you talked about how kind of all of our grandmothers kind of put that, prayer life, into us, but I realized the power of that it's not just words. Because when I release words, if you get close enough to me, you can also feel my breath.
Yes.
And the breath is where the life is. So the closer I get in this exchange of words, I'm also exchanging life. And so that's the power of what prayer looks like. And it could just be, I need help. Because I'm about to go off on somebody and you got to help me and I need that breath on me right now. So, but it's just everyday living.
Yes.
Everyday living, and it just unfolds into something so beautiful.
Yes. Yes. I think for me, and I'm just very connected to the space that I'm in personally, because it has been probably the most challenging season that I've been in my adult life. And what I've come to understand is it's back to the self-sufficient thing and understanding that, yes, you were created in his image. You are this powerful being, but you are not built to do it by yourself. You don't come to the station to charge and then go into the world and just operate by yourself. You need to stay planted here, and then you just let the things flow and emit to the people from this place. You don't detach and then go out and do the work. And then also understanding that, to your point, and I say it all the time, I know we talked about this, that my being be more important than what I do. I feel like who I am as a person shapes what I do. I have my gifts and I have my strengths, the things that inform how I work and what my purpose is like, but they stem from my being, which is rooted at the well. It's rooted at the source of the thing, where the spirit resides. That's where my being is, and I had gotten away from that. So just in the work being so big and just doing and waking up at 3:45 and just staying in routine and just getting lost in that cycle of things, just staying very mindful and intentional about my being and my life. And to your point, God is in the most mundane things in life. You go outside and feel the breeze on your skin. You're like, that's God. You feel the sun. That's God. You had that conversation and you have those belly laughs. That's God. Like, he is that present, and not just, you don't have to invite him through a prayer. Yes, have the relationship and the connection and the conversation, but God is present with you in a simple, God be here. The invitation for that spirit and that energy to be in your life. It's like, it's getting to the minute pieces of that relationship and cultivating and just inviting him into your space. Like, God can be sitting on the couch watching Netflix with you. Like, the spirit and the presence can be there with you if you intentionally invite it. And that's just where I've been, of like, God, come into the space. God, come into my heart, come into my mind. Build your kingdom here. Like, free the space, crack me open if you need to. Like, I needed to be cracked, something needed to shatter. And I'm like, if I'm gonna break anywhere, I wanna break at your feet. And I'm here, I'm putting my being back in that space so that don't break me nowhere but right here. And I'm okay with that. And I'm gonna fall into a million pieces if that's what you need me to do, because I know I'm coming back together in a much better form. And I have testing the faith. I have faith in that. And the faith is shaky. And you don't always know what it looks like. It could feel like everything is falling apart and you don't know what's going to happen. But that faith, shaky or not, sturdy, 100% or 50, like, as long as you have 1% of that, we standing on that every day. I'm trying to tell you, that's it.
Wow.
That's
Ooh, child,
beautiful.
come on, God,
I just gotta digest that for a second. Like, if y'all want to start a church, just say that. Like, if we finna start a church,
come with me. I need you to come with me wherever I am. I want you to be present, and that's just what it is.
I think that's beautiful, because I think sometimes when it comes to this spirituality thing, people overthink a lot of stuff. They make it very complicated. They have all of these tools and these, you start to see the tarot cards and you start to see all of these other essential tools that people use for their spirituality. And I have noticed that they have more so become the center than just being a tool that you use, right? And so I just think that that's beautiful what you guys are saying, because it puts it back to a level of simplicity and really takes it out of the doing aspect and really allowing you to be, and God being able to just be present with you just by inviting God into your space. Like, you're the breath of God, literally having a human experience. And so it's just, what y'all are saying is just profound. Like, I mean, I'm just in agreement, that's all that I have. Like, it's beautiful. I do have like just questions that I know that we get from a lot of our guests and things. So I want to kind of open it more if you guys are comfortable with sharing. A lot of the questions that I get as far as my spiritual journey has been like my coming out story, right? So for me, I try to be straight for a very long time. It was just like, I was in a glass closet, but it's fine. So I was in church and, doing my thing. And then eventually I just decided, like, I just want to be true to who I am and come out, right? And a lot of people ask me just like, how have I been able to navigate reconciling that? Because I had came from a church that just was not affirming. Just basically told me suppress it and all these things, right? And I tried for quite some time, but I just realized that was doing more damage to me than good. And so I'm curious to know, like, in you all's journey as it pertains to just like sexuality and faith, how have you been able to navigate that? Because I know some people, when they are in church specifically, they really struggle with the acceptance part. Like, obviously, we all have our relationships, right? Like, we have our relationship with God. But I think some of the rhetoric that is being taught is just kind of like, if you aren't heterosexual, then you cannot really have a relationship with God. And I just want you guys to, like, speak to that person who may be kind of navigating that, feeling like maybe God doesn't see them or love them or value them just because of the rhetoric that they've heard regarding that belief system. And just kind of shine light on like what your experience, if you've had one, just what that has been like, and how were you able to like kind of strengthen yourself and fortify your spiritual journey regardless of what maybe people have said and things like that.
You want to start?
I think mine might be a little bit more simplistic than yours, so I'll start. I didn't necessarily, like, I remember the first experience I had in church where, the pastor was like, you're going to hell, or like, this isn't good, whatever the case may be. And I went home and I really had to ask myself, what do you hold as true? Like, to create that separation between what someone is trying to tell me God thinks. I think it's very strange for people to think or speak for God. And I sought to hear for myself and understand what's written on my heart, and not take this perception or this idea of God that people are trying to give me. I have just always felt like, well, what do you think is true? Instead of just accepting kind of like what I had been told. In my experience, I didn't really have like anyone really slamming the gavel and like really driving it home. And I remember the one experience I had, I'm like, this church isn't for me.
Yeah.
Instead of like taking, and I also just, this is a pastor, this is a man who is supposed to convey the word to us. That's all I've ever seen it as. You're not this all-knowing, omnipresent person. You are someone that is here to minister the word to us. And I have never really connected with the Bible or the word being a means to bind people. That's never connected to me. I've experienced it when I was in church with my parents or just growing up. I've experienced it, but I've never connected to it. Like, I've always had this like, I don't think that
ain't
but
it.
I got the other part of the word that you were saying. And then also getting to a point where you understand that what we've learned in terms of religion, a lot of it is auditory. It's not, once you understand it, what you're saying is not even in this book, you really start to like debunk. Okay, so is this what God is saying, or is this your perception?
Yeah.
So I have always, to your point, like I've just sought the creator. I would just rather go on my own spiritual journey and cultivate that for myself and what works for me, because this blanket, we all sit in the congregation and we all getting this, this word and whatever the case may be. Like, I still have to cultivate my own space that God occupies in my life. And anything that just did not sit well with that, like with my heart, I'm just like, I have to separate from this.
Yeah.
Because it will get in your mind. It will start to make you think like, maybe I'm not in alignment or whatever the case may be. But I've just experienced a certain level of freedom and favor over myself in my life, where I'm just like, I think me and God all right. I think that we understand each other, and this acceptance piece of like, the only person I need to worry about accepting me is me. And once I do that, like, the people who are meant for me, we're gonna be like a magnet to each other. Like, I don't have to force somebody that doesn't understand my life or my experiences or have certain beliefs. What you believe is what you believe. I don't want to argue belief. Like, we both could stand here until we're blue in the face and argue about what you believe versus what I believe. Hold that truth if that's yours.
Yeah.
I'm more connected to what's true for me than anything else. So that has just been I've been more connected to God than my connection to what someone else is saying is God, or any church structure, or anything that somebody was told about faith or about God. So that's really been my, where I've been planted in regards to my spirituality, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a topic that's really near and dear to my heart. That's probably why I got this tissue in my jacket, just in case I need to pull it out, because I've encountered so many people that have said to me that I don't go to church, but if you start one, I'll come. Because they haven't felt the safety, they haven't felt the affirmation as a person. Flat out, just a human being. Somebody that was created in the image and likeness of God, just like anybody else. And it honestly really hurts my heart, because it's not the heart of God. And I remember, all these experiences have happened to me when I was such a young child, but I remember sitting down, I don't think anybody was home, and I was laying out in the living room, and I was talking to God, and I said to the Lord, "What is this?" All right, so I was at home. I probably was about 12 or 13, somewhere around there, and I don't know where my parents had went, but I was just in the living room, and I was on my face, and I was crying out to God, and I'm like, God, what is this? Where is this from? How did this happen? Because everything I've known, everything that has been ingrained into me has always said, this is not right. Also saying, Ryan, you are not right. And I'm like, I can't reconcile that, because all my life I've loved you. And all my life, I know that you've loved me. So what do I do to reconcile this? And literally, y'all, I opened my Bible to Corinthians, where he said, my grace is sufficient. And I just begin to weep, because no matter what anybody else had told me, no matter what I had learned, no matter even how I had felt about my own self, he said, minus all of that, my grace is all you need. And going through life, even being in ministry, I remember having conversations with my pastors and letting them know kind of where I was. And I love and honor and respect my pastors. And I opted to sit down from ministry which is something that I absolutely, this is my heart. This is what I do. You know, it's blessing people's lives. It's all of that. But I knew my heart was for the people that I led. And I didn't want to be a stumbling block or whatever to their relationship with God or whatever the case is. So I was willing to take a back seat. And God's like, no. Because what I put on you, I don't care whatever anybody else defines it as, I put that in you. So who is somebody else to say that that which I put in you can't come out?
Yes.
Because I'm requiring that of you. You're responsible to me. You got to give an account to me for what I put, not to anybody else. And it was hard, y'all. It's not an easy thing. And also, I think there's this mentality that, you know, when you have your coming out experience, that there's this level of just lawlessness. You just do whatever you want to do. You just act a fool. And I don't know what people's like mindset is, because honestly, the thing that I kept saying is that the only thing that has changed is now you have information.
That's it.
That's really it.
Because I hadn't changed.
Yeah.
Nothing else about me has changed. And I'm just in a space now where bump all that stuff. I'm going to do what God tell me to do. And if it can bless one life, 2 lives, 3 lives, that's all that matters to me. I had a rocky experience with my family, but I love my family. And God restored that. I've had some situations with friends that could not even understand, but God restored that. So I'm saying that to whoever is in that place of decision. I want you to know, like Kenny said, nobody and nothing else matters. But I want you to know that you matter to God. And He is saying to you, all I want you to do is come. And if you come, I'll work all that stuff out. And God is always going to tell us to come when the waves are moving, the wind is going, there's so much turmoil. But He said, come, step out the boat. Step onto that thing that is not designed for you to walk on.
That part. That part.
So our instability in the natural is His stability in the spirit. And He's saying, if you can just step out and just walk, everything else will just begin to line up. And then the beauty is He gonna walk back with you to the boat.
I'm trying to tell you. We're going back together.
Yeah.
Beautiful. You look like you got a lot to say.
I'm just feeling a lot.
What are you
Just feeling all the
feeling?
things.
What are you feeling? Just share.
Whew, honey, just the spirit.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is just present.
Yeah.
It's just present. And that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that I want to just add this, right? Because when it comes to, I think, how we live our lives, right? Of course, we need community and we need people to be a part of our journeys. And my sister said something to me that I think forever just changed my perspective. Because when I did come out, one of the challenges that I faced was like just family, understanding. And I'm going to butcher 100% how she said it. So just kind of try to work with me here. But, you know, I kind of had this expectation for everybody to just kind of get on board and just be like, I'm here now. It took me a while to get here. Now, mind you, everybody kind of knew that I was gay. Again, I was in a glass closet. But I kind of had this expectation for everybody to get on board now that I'm finally on board. And she said something to me just in regards to like, don't forget grace for the other side. Like just how you're asking for you to be accepted and for them to kind of like see you in that light. Give grace to understand that they've been like this their whole lives and believing the way that they have believed for their entire lives. Give grace, the same grace that you're asking for, extend that to the other side, and understanding that they may not automatically just accept it right now, but it doesn't mean that this relationship is not worth laboring for. You know what I mean? And so I felt like the need to say that because I think we have this expectation sometimes when we come out. And again, I don't believe that everybody should come out. So let me just kind of add that caveat out there that coming out is not for everyone. But if you choose to share with your family and you're not being accepted, you're not being validated, my sister just really gave a lot of clarity in regards to understanding that culturally, if your family has been believing a certain way for so long, you can't just have the immediate expectation for them to just be like, okay, cool. Because for them, their fight or flight systems are activated now because they love you and they're being taught like someone that they love is going in a wrong direction. And so how do I get behind that when I love you so dearly in my thought patterns and what I was taught that this is not okay? You know what I mean? And so it was just one of those things that like for my family, we are working through, and it's a beautiful thing to see now because I don't know if it's like everything is like all hunky-dory, I guess, but there's this understanding of willing to learn and to grow that's there. And I say that to say for those of you guys, if you do have family members who are not necessarily on the same page with you right now, if you have them that they're willing to listen and that they're willing to hear you, to put in the labor, you know what I mean? Be willing to get uncomfortable, have those uncomfortable conversations because there is restoration on the other side. And I think that it's worth pursuing. Restoration, especially with family, is worth pursuing. None of your sexuality, none of that stuff matters at the end of the day. It is not all of you. It is a major part of you, just like all the other things are a major part of you. But at the end of the day, like your family, if you have them in your corner, if they are trying to understand you and maybe they just don't, give them the grace to learn you, to figure it out while you're trying to figure it out. And then we have people on the other side that we've talked to who their family is just not safe for them in that time and in this time. And be understanding and knowing that God will send you your chosen family. And because I truly believe that community is important, especially for just our community, and knowing that like, even if it's not the community that you may have hoped for, understand that you're loved enough to be sent the right community that has the capacity to carry and love on you the way that you need. So that's just my last little, okay. And we being told we got to wrap it up. So do y'all have anything y'all want to add on that?
Not on that. I think that all of these perspectives were absolutely amazing. I just want to go back to the invitation to attend this. I don't even want to call it an event.
It's really an experience.
It's an experience, but all it takes is a decision. And even if you're wondering, well, okay, how am I going to pay for it? How am I going to do whatever the case may be? If you just decide to be well, if you just decide to be healed, then everything needed will show up. So that's my last little.
I feel like Ryan done closed us out, child. I'm just over here nodding. I'm like, yes, Lord, yes, Pastor Ryan, we are tracking. I am just, as each interview is going, I'm just growing more excited about just the sheer amount of energy that's being brought together, that's being presented to the people. I mean, it gives me chills just thinking about how much is being carried in like the preparation for this. So I'm just really excited.
Yeah,
I am. Yes.
Thank y'all for listening. Like I said in all of these episodes, man, grab your tickets, apply to these retreats and stuff because it's about to be just so much beauty in the room. So I can't wait to see y'all there.
Yes.
Peace. It's awesome.